In the 17th chapter of the Gospel of St. John, Jesus says, speaking to the Father, "I will remain in the world no longer, but they are still in the world, and I am coming to you. Holy Father, protect them by the power of your name, the name you have given me, so that they may be one as we are one." The desert monks of the early centuries of the Church knew that living life in this world meant facing certain difficulties and temptations, assaults from what Evagrius, himself a monk of the early Church and a compiler of the sayings of the Desert Fathers, what he called logismoi. Logismoi are the core thoughts or temptations from which all sin springs, not just for monks, but for all people. Things like pride or anger or vanity or slothfulness. For the desert monks, the answer was to seek solitude in the desert. In going into the silence of the desert, they were able to wage a kind of warfare against these logismoi, to free themselves from all the distractions of daily life, so that their hearts and their minds and their prayers could more closely be with the Father. Now, if you worship in a church or if you follow in your own private devotions the lectionary of the church calendar, the church year, you may know that just last week was the feast of the Ascension Day, the day in which we celebrate and give thanks for Jesus' ascension to the Father. The Ascension happened 40 days after his resurrection, and so the date moves around each year. But it is a vitally important part of the story of our salvation and one that is often underpreached. We remember throughout those 40 days after the resurrection that Jesus was appearing to his disciples to encourage them, to give them a word, and they were often kind of confused about who he was. They would think he was a gardener or a stranger on the road. Jesus would appear and then disappear. But each time, or sometimes at least, it was noted that Jesus always bore the marks of the crucifixion on his body. You could still see his wounds from the cross. And when he ascends at the Ascension, he goes up with those same wounds on his body. The Ascension shows us a few important things, but namely that Jesus takes our humanity, our humanness, all that it means to be a human, up with him to be glorified, a sign of our destiny as the children of God through faith in Jesus Christ.